As a kid, I used to love watching TV. I'd watch Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney XD, but there's one channel that I would tune into from time to time, just to see a single rerun. The joy of painting acted as a large inspiration for many. Even though the show started more than 10 years before I was born, there was always something so soothing about watching surreal landscapes pop into reality over the course of a 30-minute episode. I was never really that good at painting, but when I would watch Bob Ross's program, I felt inspired. Hearing his ubiquitous motivational catchphrase that anyone could paint, and his constant words of encouragement transported me to another world, one where I was in control. I was the artist. Bob Ross was born in the midst of World War II on October 29, 1942. Just a year before, the United States had officially ended their neutrality in the war, following provocation by Imperial Japan. As such, Ross grew up with the war surrounding him, but this never dampened his caring personality, as he would care for injured animals such as armadillos, snakes, alligators, and squirrels, many of which were later featured in his television show. He never really felt that school fit him, and as such, he dropped out of high school in 9th grade to join his father, who was a lifelong carpenter. During this time, he lost part of his index finger in a woodworking accident. However, this minor disability never stopped him from continuing to strive forwards. The next major turning point in his life was in 1961, when he joined the United States Air Force as a medical records technician, transcribing patient information as a full-time job. He eventually rose to the rank of Master Sergeant, and was stationed at the United States Air Force Clinic at the Eielson Air Force Base near Fairbanks, Alaska. The serene scenery in that area, along with the looming Mount Denali, would go on to play a large influence in his painting as a recurring theme. In a 1990 interview with the Orlando Sentinel, Bob Ross described his time in the military as requiring to be tough and mean. He had to quote, "Be the guy who makes you scrub the latrine, the guy who makes you make your bed, the guy who screams at you for being late to work." Ross decided that if he ever left the military, he would never yell or raise his voice again. Bob Ross developed an interest in painting during his 20-year tenure because of art classes at the Anchorage USO Club. However, he was often at odds with his instructors, who were more appreciative of abstract works. In a New York Times interview, he said that, quote, "They tell you what makes a tree, but they wouldn't tell you how to paint a tree." At the time, the most popular style was abstract expression, which conveys thoughts, attitudes, and emotions via non-traditional or non-representational means. While working part-time as a bartender, Ross developed an interest in a television show called The Magic of Oil Painting, hosted by Bill Alexander, who used a 16th century painting style called alla prima, also known as wet on wet. This style allowed for a much quicker paint job, which would fit the show's 30-minute timeline. Ross became an avid watcher of the show, and began to start selling his paintings of the Alaskan landscape. These paintings eventually led to a higher salary than what he was earning in the military, and as such he retired from the Air Force in 1981. After retiring, he decided to go back to his home state of Florida and study under Alexander, who acted as his original inspiration to paint. Because of this, he also worked for the Alexander Magic Art Supplies Company as a traveling salesman and tutor. After attending one of Ross's sessions, Annette Kowalski believed that Ross could succeed on his own. She invested her life savings in the newly created company, Bob Ross Incorporated. Due to the business initially struggling, Ross grew out his hair, leading to the iconic afro that we know and love. However, he later confessed that he didn't really like the hairstyle, but felt that he couldn't really change it because the company logo was integrated into it. Not much is known about how The Joy of Painting was brought to network TV, except that it was produced by WNVC in Falls Church, Virginia. From January 11, 1983 to May 17, 1994, the show aired and still has reruns today. However, tragedy struck in 1992 when Ross's second wife, Jane, who he'd been with for more than a decade, died of cancer. Around this time, Ross was also diagnosed with lymphoma, which he eventually was defeated by on July 4th, 1995. His remains are located at the Woodland Memorial Park in Gotha, Florida, under a plaque that is marked with the words, "Bob Ross, television artist." Bob's show touched so many, and acted as a huge inspiration that undoubtedly changed thousands of lives. He helped shape a whole generation, and even the next generation through the internet and memes. His impact on society can never be forgotten, never be disparaged, because of all the good he's contributed. His wonderfully inspirational quotes, believing in someone, no matter who they were, their style, how they looked or acted. I just hope that his image will live on forever, and act as a perfect role model for the most pure person that one could be. But we can't change the past. Life goes on. We may never see another happy little accent or a group of happy clouds and trees, but despite that, we keep trying. We push forwards to become the person that he saw in us, to live up to the best person we could be. And for that, I'm thankful.
But I want to get you to try being creative on canvas. Just to take your time and sit down, have nothing in mind when you start. Just have a good feeling and be happy and in love with life and your world, and sit down and begin playing. And if you feel good about yourself and the world, it'll show in your painting, and all these little things will happen.